Meanwhile, in the Monkey Kingdom, it wasn't long before the seemingly endless train of wheelbarrows hired by the peddler began to slow. The local villages had been cleaned out, for the villagers saw an opportunity to rid themselves of things that had piled up from long ago. There were lamps without wicks, toasters without toast, old wheels, broken scales, and chipped teacups. The king had collected mountains of seemingly worthless junk, each paid for with a measure of pure palace gold. The Monkey King had no idea of the bill of goods he'd been sold.
By decree of His Majesty the King, all subjects must now bow and pay homage to the King's new fortune before each meal, and especially before luncheon. With this royal decree, I have ensured proper respect be paid to my larder and me.
Each day, crowds from the kingdom would come to admire the king's new wealth. After all, a good belly laugh is said to improve your health. Now it happened that among the king's soldiers was a young bonobo, a bright young fellow with a slightly affected air, whose name was Bobo. Unlike his fellow soldiers, he was not suited to rain, mud, and marching. Instead, Bobo maintained a strong aesthetic sense, looking for the art in clothes, dining, and his financial portfolio. Now, all of the monkeys of the kingdom were excellent at swinging on vines and took to air liberally, save for one. It seems Fausticopolis suffered a terrible and unforgivable foible for a monkey monarch. He was afraid of heights.
Why not swing higher, sire?
Bobo kicked over a pile of junk as the king swung by at very low altitude.
That is your choice?
Bobo passed through the throne room and looked derisively at the snickering onlookers of the king's court. He walked closer to the sergeant-at-arms and looked up at the hulking ape.
Doesn't it seem strange that the king would have so many truly worthless things to add to his collection, while all the while paying good currency for the same? It's madness, if you ask me.
Nobody asked you, little Bobo. Besides, what can be done about a monarch's lark? Explaining the folly of his passion might result in the inconvenient separation of one's head from one's shoulders. You know what I mean.
You're right, Isoke. That's why everyone would rather smile and pay respect to a silly pile of junk.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I present to you the king and his most precious, beautiful things.
And with a lavish gesture, the sergeant-at-arms opened the doors to the throne room, and the Monkey King entered regally as the court musicians played. Try as he might, Bobo could not hide how embarrassed he was for the king, for the monkey monarch had gotten rid of his traditional garb in favor of a robe made from an old painter's drip cloth, a plunger for a scepter, and an old birdcage perched on his head as a crown. A ripple of laughter passed through the room as every lady-in-waiting and man-at-arms struggled to maintain their composure.
Who has
And
spoken?
as the king passed
Has
down
someone
the hall,
told a joke?
the snickers grew into explosive guffaws, and suddenly an avalanche of laughter.
Who has spoken? Has someone told a joke? Tell me, what is broken?
No one spoke.
Tell me, what is
Bobo
broken?
stepped bravely forward from the crowd.
Dear king,
Yes?
sire, surely there is nothing you need explain to a lowly subject such as myself, but by your leave, what exactly do you have in mind for these strange objects? These items you collect would appear to my untrained eye to be of little importance. None of these things are fit to decorate your fortress. In fact, it would seem for these beautiful things, you've paid far too much. I beg you, place your trust in more traditional means of counting your riches. For the peddler's beautiful things only keep your royal subjects in stitches.
Another round of laughter erupted from the crowd of onlookers.
Foolish, foolish youth! Certainly by now you have lived long enough to know there's no one better attuned to the proper manner in which to attire one's royal self. Why, I am the very model of beauty for all the kingdoms of the world to see.
The Monkey King looked around at the members of his court for affirmation, while they hid their smiles with their hands.
Am I not I? Am I not Fausticopolis, lord of our kingdom, master of this metropolis? Have I not followed in the wise and time-honored tradition of monkey leadership handed down from eons, as sure as you've eaten a banana or swung from a tree? Answer me, you peons!
Bobo opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out.
Yea, Lord, it is true.
And then Bobo did something that had rarely been seen. Bobo spoke back to the king.
Well, sire, these fabrics are fine. However, silk, at least the blended weave, may better please your highness's delicate skin.
Oh, then perhaps there is a crown better suited than even this rich antique made available for a modest fee.
Perhaps, yet, sire, in the world below there are kingdoms with more beautiful crowns than thou hast here, encrusted with jewels and truly precious things.
Intrigue made the Monkey King lean closer.
Oh, then I will send you, Bobo. Yes, I will send you, Bobo, along with the peddler to find these things you speak of. You will be the new assistant to the king's royal finder of beautiful things. Scour the world, leave no stone unturned. Bring me all the beautiful things your king commands it. Without them, do not return.
Now Bobo was shrewd. He thought to himself,
Here is a chance for me to prove I'm larger than my small stature. There is more for me. There are riches to capture.